Welcome back to The Layman's Perspective, the show where I had an interview earlier today, so I'm dressed fancy. Today we'll be discussing Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 2. And as always, spoilers ahoy! Proceed at your own risk. Before we talk about this episode, though, I just want to make a quick note about last week's episode. I saw a couple of people assuming that old Cap was dead based on Sam's, subjectively, cryptic words at the Smithsonian ceremony. I want to quell all of your fears. Cap is not dead. And I already hear you asking, how the hell do you know this? You're just a layman. Well, to you non-believers, I say this. During my research, I stumbled across a tweet from yonder Twitter user Bork and the Winter Bork. Fantastic name. Essentially, he had gone back and done a way better job than I had at scrutinizing the details within the Captain America memorial, coming across the following paragraphs on one of the exhibits. With the death of Tony Stark, Steve Rogers honored his friend by finally retiring and laying down his shield, enjoying the world he had fought so hard to protect. With this exhibit, we honor the life and legacy of Steve Rogers, Captain America, patriot, soldier, hero. So there you go. He's not dead. He's just enjoying his early retirement. Or late retirement, depending on how you want to look at it. Now, on to the next episode. On to this episode. We're treated to a little character building scene with Wyatt Russell's John Walker. We haven't seen any of Wyatt Russell's work in Overlord or in the first season of Black Mirror. He's a great, fantastic actor. As well as his buddy Lamar Hoskins. The scene gives us a few things. The most notable here being that Walker seems to hold a serious and honestly relieving sense of respect and reverence for the mantle of Captain America, wanting to do the best job that he possibly can do. In addition to this level of respect, once he's outside and he's talking to the news lady, we learn that not only is he a gifted soldier with a vast and generous service record, but also he's apparently in tip-top physical shape, the zenith of human physicality, one might say. Although he admits that he's specifically no Tony Stark or Dr. Bruce Banner, we do see through video clips that he has been drilling with Cap's shield. Now, we also get some classic Cap Easter eggs in this scene that might have flown over your head, but again, that's what you got me for. You don't have to worry about not catching everything, because I do catch everything. It's not true. I don't catch everything. I do my best, but I'm sure that there's a whole bunch of stuff that I forgot. Anyways, one, in the locker room, Hoskins refers to Walker as the new Star-Spangled Man with a plan. And that is a reference to the song that plays during Cap's Bond Boy sales montage in the first movie. In fact, the song that the marching band plays to accompany him as he walks out is the marching band version of that song, an homage to that song, if you will. Bucky's reaction to these events on the news guides us into the next scene. We finally get some nice Bucky and Sam buddy cop on a mission and they're doing stuff interactions. Specifically, it's Bucky and Sam arguing over what to do about Walker, whilst Sam prepares to leave for a hash-slinging slasher's reconnaissance mission. Now, what piqued my interest here was the continual references to Red Wing. Throughout the different movies, starting all the way back in Civil War, Sam has referred to Red Wing as a he instead of an it. And I always just figured that it was a term of endearment and nothing more. But the way the dialogue in this scene goes, with Red Wing seemingly going on independent recon missions and unearthing information of his own, I started to wonder, is Red Wing sentient to any degree? Or at least sentient perhaps in the way that Jarvis was? Is he smarter than just a remote-controlled drone? Is what I started to think. We also get the tremendously fantastic term here, androids, aliens, and wizards, which apparently, since everybody has been snapped back, has become a term the military uses to identify otherwise Infinity War-esque otherworldly threats. I just love it because it's so casually thrown around, even though it's a ridiculous term to our ears. Doctor Strange is specifically name-dropped here. Hashtag Mephisto confirmed in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Don't at me. Doctor Strange is... Oh man. Doctor Strange is specifically name-dropped here, and they specifically amusingly argue over whether or not Doctor Strange is a wizard or a sorcerer. Something that, honestly, I kind of want an answer to, because I'm not sure. Attempting to follow Sam out of the plane, I love here that Bucky just doesn't take fall damage, or at least reacts to a several hundred-foot drop the way one might react to just falling down a small flight of stairs. Even though the MCU doesn't do a particularly good job of emphasizing it, it's important to remember that Bucky is technically, by all means, a super soldier, and perhaps he's not as strong as Cap, but his speed and strength and endurance and resistances are certainly at least within a stone's throw of what Cap was putting out. On the ground, we get a subtle reference to Bucky's apparent alter ego as the White Wolf. Now, we've heard this name before. If you don't remember, I think it was coined by Shuri? Or T'Challa? Someone said the White Wolf in one of the 2 Black Panther end credit scenes. This is a character from the comic books, but the origin of that character is quite a bit different. A vast oversimplification is that T'Chaka rescues and adopts a stranded boy named Hunter, who becomes T'Challa's adopted older brother and later becomes the character known as the White Wolf. Now, name-dropping White Wolf could just be an Easter egg for mega comic nerds like us, but this could also be a subtle indicator, a little seed planted in the ground of what's in store for Bucky's future within the MCU. We're gonna have to wait and see. We also get in this scene definitive confirmation that the new arm that Bucky's gotten post-Civil War while he was in Wakanda is in fact made of vibranium. That's something that we all assumed, but it's never something that was outright definitively confirmed to us. In general, the comedy in this scene is just great. I absolutely love the frenemy banter between the two of them. They're like 2 old women who simultaneously love and hate each other, just bickering all the time. I was cracking up. They pursue the hash-slinging slashers. That name has just stuck in my mind, so I guess that's what we're going to be calling them for the duration of my breakdowns. They pursue the hash-slinging slashers and engage. When one of them catches Red Wing and brings... No! I'm sorry. Rest in peace, Red Wing. You will not be forgotten. They break Red Wing, and we're treated to an interesting fight scene where it's displayed and later outright exposited to us that all of the masked figures in this scene in the trucks are super soldiers. Now, the whole, oh no, there's more super soldiers thing is a little derivative to me, considering that was basically the fake plot for the entirety of Civil War. So I'm nervous about this, but I've also come to trust Marvel, and I cautiously am hopeful that they'll find a way to do something unique with this. I wouldn't write them off just yet. The big mystery to solve here is obviously where all these super soldiers come from. How did they become super soldiers? We're going to have to find that out. Obviously, the characters need to get to the bottom of that mystery as the show goes on. Walker and Hoskins jump in to assist, with the bad guys ultimately getting away. Now, in this scene, Walker is completely pleasant and cordial, just like he was in his first scene in the locker room, just like he was also in the interview. I'll be honest, I was expecting some kind of villainous or psychopathic personality trait, but he didn't display any of that to me at all in any of these scenes. And it's not like there's anything that we have to talk about him later that points to him being an antagonist, so I think that I was wrong about him. Do you get it? Because I really wasn't. Here, Hoskins says that he's adopted the hero name Battlestar, and this to me, I caught 2 things here. One is that, once again, Battlestar is a comic book hero, the alter ego of the comic version of Lamar Hoskins, and friend of, you guessed it, John Walker. What more caught my attention here, though, was Bucky and Sam's reactions of disgust and cringe to this name, which was a clear nod, in my eyes, to this moment in Civil War when they see Spider-Man for the first time.
What the hell is that? Everyone's got a gimmick now.
Sam doesn't like corny superhero names. Our next scene is Buck and Sam visiting a man in Maryland named Isaiah. We learn through this dialogue that he was also another super soldier. This time, one who Bucky engaged with during the Korean War. Apparently they fought back when Bucky was a Hydra mine drone. We get two tremendously powerful scenes back to back here. One is Isaiah very emotionally and angrily explaining to them, and through them, us, that whereas Cap got a hero's welcome and a hero's honor as a super soldier, all he got after his work was done was jail time and countless laboratory experiments. Not a hero's welcome or adoration at all. The raw emotion on this guy's face and his voice, like, goddamn. Guy could act. And two, outside, when Sam is, very upset with Bucky for not telling him about Isaiah, they're arguing in the street, and two cops come up to them and stop them. Presumably, the scene at least implied to me, because Sam was black. Before they actually realize who Bucky and Sam are, that they're heroes. A very simple scene, very quick, maybe just a minute long, gravitational levels of subtext and commentary. Friendly Guy Walker, our best friend and nothing more, bails Bucky out of jail, but not before we get a hysterical, but also deep, couples therapy moment between Bucky and Sam, overseen by Bucky's therapist. We get more great frenemy banter with echoes of their hate-hate relationship that we first started to see all the way back in Civil War. But we see a rare crack in Bucky's otherwise stone-cold facade here. We see that the reason that Buck is so riled up about the S.H.I.E.L.D.'s current ownership is because he's worried that Steve was wrong about Sam, and that by association, Steve might have been wrong about him, and that he's doubting himself and whether or not he has the capacity to be a good person. Isaiah even kind of takes a jab at him for, similar thematic reasons, saying, you think you just get to decide who you want to be? Heavily implying that it's the actions that make the man, in which case, Bucky's done a lot of terrible stuff. It was a very raw, emotional moment, beautifully executed by Sebastian Stan. Although it's quickly covered up by more comedy and humor, and then, the plot keeps moving forward. Outside, Walker offers the pair one final olive branch of cooperation, saying, listen, you guys, we gotta work together, right, on this one to bring in all the bad guys. Sam refuses, although in about as polite a way as he could, I will say, saying that, okay, you guys are our military, your government, you have all these rules and regulations that you have to follow. We're heroes, we're free agents, we don't have to worry about as many rules. It wouldn't make sense for us to cooperate. And as they're walking away, we finally see that menacing dark side that I was expecting from the very beginning, with Walker ominously warning the two of them to stay the hell out of my way. With no leads, our final scene before the credits roll is Sam quite begrudgingly agreeing with Buck that their only option left for information is to go to Zemo, a presumed expert on all things Hydra. We get a delicious Hannibal Lecter-esque scene with a full orchestral swell of Zemo in his isolation cell. We get a nice zoom in on his face right before we cut to the credits, and then the episode ends. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I, for one, can't wait to see what they do with Zemo's character. He's briefly run as an anti-hero instead of a villain in the comics, and I would love to see the MCU's version of the character go that route, because I think, as far as MCU villains go, his motives in his development in Civil War were certainly far from the bottom of the barrel, and I'd love to see him get a little bit more development and become a little bit more complex than he already is. I can already also see the path laid out in front of Sam and Buck to go from these hysterical, bristling frenemies to friends, using Steve as their common bond, as their shared trauma. And this episode made me very excited to watch them get there, because we know that they're going to get there. We know they're going to get to the point where they're like buddies. Part of the fun of the show is going to be us watching them get to that point. And this episode, a lot of their interactions, it made me excited to see them get to that point. More than anything, though, rest in peace, Red Wing. They did you real dirty, man. Birdman. That's all I got for you, though, guys. Be sure to like this video, be sure to share it to your friends, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. If we get enough subscribers, maybe, just maybe, we can bring Red Wing back, you guys. Always remember, time is your most valuable resource, and I'm always happy that you chose to spend some of it with me. I'll see you guys next week.